Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the official NJSSL pregame show podcast. I'm your host, Reg. As always, we have with us our star analyst and star of the Toronto Raptors, Abbas Haider. And with us today, instead of the usual Sharuk, we have an even better replacement for him. We have the one and only Stats King on Merchant. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good. Not so good that I'm not in the playoffs, but overall, I'm doing all right.
You helped lead the Hornets to at least a couple of victories, so excellent work there. It was definitely a tough season for you guys, but hey, there's always next season, my friend.
Always next season. There's a lot of seasons to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think you're in a very prime position to be giving some commentary today because the Hornets are out of the playoffs. You'll be very impartial. So unlike a boss here, who's gonna basically tell us the Raptors are gonna win everything. So let's just real quick. I guess the final standings are out now that the season is over. We have in not truly a shocker. We've got the Raptors in first at 7-2. The Kings and Blazers. The Kings actually take the number 2 seed at 6-3, tied with the Blazers, but they do have the head-to-head win over them. We have the Spurs coming in fourth at 5-4, and then we have a four-way tie at 4-5 between the Clippers, the Sixers, the Bucks, and the Heat in that order, and that rounds out the teams that will be in the playoffs. The Hornets and the Magic. It was a tough, long season for them. You can tell us about the Hornets' struggles another time, but let's just go right into it, guys. What's shocking to you and what is not shocking to you about the standings as they stand at the end of the season? Abbas, start it off.
Yeah, let's do this. So I'm definitely surprised about the number 8 spot. I was not expecting to play the Heat. Like, that is the last team that I wanted to play. And now we're playing them. So that's definitely a shocker for us. I think the Bucks actually getting in. I was like 50-50 about them, but they went on a crazy tear. I mean, we know what happened last week. But even what's even more surprising is the consistency. So they beat the Heat and they beat us. So it's like, the Bucks kind of turned it out right near the end, going into playoffs. So they have some great momentum with them. So those would be my 2 surprises. The one team that I can't figure out what went wrong, and maybe we'll dive into this at some point, is the Magic. I really, really thought they would be a top seed or a mid-round seed at some point in the season, and I thought they would figure it out. But for whatever reason, they didn't. So I'm a bit disappointed not to see them in the playoffs.
It's interesting that you pointed out the Bucks, given the fact that you played about 5 minutes of that game. I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if we count that as a true win, but
No, man. They get credit. They prepped for that game. They prepped for that game. And to be honest, I barely played other games too, and our team pulled through. So I was expecting our team to do better.
That's true. Mr. Merchant, what you thinking?
Definitely the biggest surprise is the Kings finishing 6-3.
Yeah.
I never thought that they would do bad. I always thought that they were a playoff team, but 6-3 is that's second seed, and they beat the Blazers. The Blazers were trying. The Blazers were looking good, but the Kings are. It's so hard to stop the Sun. You really need the right personnel on the floor. So I think matchups are going to be really important in the playoffs when we start talking about that. And then the Bucks finishing really well. I would say midway through the season, I realized that they were going to be really good, especially when Mustafa came into the picture. I think everybody forgot about him. It doesn't seem like a lot, but just his ability to move and cut and get layups, like he could get you 8 points, 6 points, 10 points some games, and that's almost like 20% of the points scored on a team on any given day. So that's a really big difference for the Bucks, and then that opens up Assad. He's been getting hot again. He's probably top 5 best, just shooting wise. If you're just out there shooting, Assad's wild.
So good.
Those are definitely some excellent points. And the important thing to note is, like, I'm sure you have this in the stats on, is that in the first half of the season, Asad Rizvi could barely hit a shot, and then the last couple of games he just went off.
So I'll say, out of every time I played pickup with him, the first time I saw him not shoot well was in the league, and then I was like, that's
Yeah.
not happening again. Then it happened again and again and again. I was like, okay, maybe I got the wrong impression, but I played with him a few times, and it was like if he was open, it was automatic. And then even
Automatic every time.
I played a few weeks ago, he's open, it hits. Like there's no. It's like if he's open, you already know it's a score. But in the league, it wasn't happening. And now, like last week, he was 4 for 6 from three, 12 points off of 6 shots. That's amazing in this league.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
absolutely. I think he just needs the right motivation. Sorry, boss. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think he's definitely one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, like hands down. Especially in the last 2 games, he may be shooting like 45, 50% or higher from behind the lines. So I think him and I think Mustafa Al-Kassi, like I saw it last week, he makes such a difference for them, and he's like their ultimate glue guy. So hoping that that can continue for them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that Mustafa and Dickey or Assad stepping it up into the role that he was supposed to play definitely increases their offensive threat, and that's basically what they were missing this whole season.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that. The other surprise thing I'm going to say is the Sixers. You know, I didn't expect them to drop all the way down to sixth. Because they, granted their last 2 games that they both lost, both of those were without ZJ. It goes to show you how crucial ZJ is to that team. Hopefully he'll be around in the playoffs. Otherwise, the Sixers can kiss basically any hopes that they have goodbye. And I don't know. I'm gonna say that I pretty much expected that the Trailblazers were gonna, I think their first 5 wins were, not luck, but like I feel like it made them seem a lot better than they probably actually are. And I think the Trailblazers that we're getting now are putting up these good fights, but ultimately losing is on par with what we should have expected from them, kind of throughout the season. So we'll see. They're 1-3 in their last 4 games, so we'll see what happens as the playoffs start. But with that being said, let's just roll right into it. Let's talk about the predictions we have for this week. We have 4 games coming up. The first one's going to be the Raptors and the Heat. Abbas, I know you said it multiple times. You said it again today. You did not want to play the Heat. What can you tell us about how you're feeling about this game?
So look, if we're not prepared, if we're not on our A game, the Heat are one of those teams that can just once they get going, it's really really tough to slow them down, especially Faisal, right? We've seen what he does once he starts feeling his shot. He's like one of the toughest guys to stop when it comes down to that. And then they've got Sean Ghazni, the Ever Fun, and then Imran Zedi as well. So they're a tough matchup for us in terms of like we have to run and gun, and they're a tough team to keep up with, especially with Sean kind of leading that charge on those breakaways. He's one of the quickest guys in the league. So yeah, I'm excited about the matchup. I think it'll be a good matchup. But if we're not on our A game, it could go the Heat's way. So we have to step up and come out ready, or else I don't know how we'll do in the playoffs.
On what you got?
I think the Raptors should take it. I think, my opinion, if Salic is involved heavily in the beginning, I think they're going to run away with it. So I think I'm a big fan of how Salic's been playing all season. I think it's just been hard getting the ball around for them when you have Abbas, Salic, and Mo on the floor. It's not a bad problem to have, but I think Salic's involvement and how much he gets going in the beginning is really going to show if it's going to be a close game or if they're going to pull away. I think they have the right personnel to beat the Heat.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be a close game for sure. I think the Heat definitely have a chance, but it's contingent upon Sean playing as well as he's played. He needs to have at least like a 20-plus point game. Faisal, I anticipate, will be on mark. And I think that whoever plays better between Salic and Sean, I think that will be the key to the victory. And I think in this case, it's going to be Salic who plays as the potential MVP that he might be, and he is. I think the Raptors are going to take this one. So it sounds like we're saying 3-0 Raptors are going to win that. Let's go on to the second game then. What about the Kings and the Bucks? We just talked about how well we think the Bucks are. How good a team the Bucks are now with Assad playing well and with Mustafa. So do you think they are good enough to take out Hussein and the Kings?
On, you want to take this first?
Yeah, I'll take this first. No, I think the Kings are gonna win. I mean, they could just come out and shoot crazy from three too. So there's always that possibility. But I'll say that when this game happened week one, it was the worst game I've ever refed in my life, and it made me hate myself. I definitely went home really mad after refing that game because both of these guys have personalities on the team. They're just, you know, well, whatever. I'll leave that. I'll leave that for another day. But I think if the Kings play the right defense and they take everything seriously, they should be able to score consistently. But when they played week one, Hussein only had 5 points. So that wasn't by accident. 5 points is not, he averages like 27. So, 5 to 27,
Yeah.
big difference. So maybe Nabil has a magic spell on him.
So for the Bucks, I know that Mustafa Al might be missing. So as much as we just praised him, I think that's a big loss for the Bucks, which means that everyone else has to work, that 25% harder on defense, on rebounding, on trying to run in transition. Um, I don't see Hussein not dropping at least 20 points this game. Um, and I know they did a great job defensively, but I feel like Hussein's warmed up. He's played a couple of games as well now. So it's going to be tough for the Bucks to get past the Kings. I think that, there's always a chance with them because they've got high IQ players that have AA. But I think at the end of the day, I see the Kings taking this one.
All right, these are excellent analyses. I think one thing to keep in mind is that that week one game, Hamza went off. Hamza scored 30 plus points, and that was a huge at halftime the game was still pretty close, and as was typical for the Bucks, the second half they blew it up. I don't think Hamza has that game again. I think Hussein needs to basically be that top guy. And if he gets shut down in any sense, even if it's a little bit less than he has been against some of these other teams, and if the Bucks play like they have in the last couple weeks, I think they have a chance. With Mustafa Al-Casey out, it's a little bit harder. I would say if both teams actually did have their full rosters, I'm gonna go on I'm gonna say something crazy that I've not said all season, and I'm gonna say the Bucks might actually win. But I think if any of the Bucks are missing, then we're gonna have to give this one to the Kings.
It's tough because I feel like if Mustafa Al was there, I would have given the game to the Bucks. He really is that big of a differentiator for them. So without him, I'm a little hesitant to give it to the Bucks. I still think they have a shot, but yeah, it's going to be tough without Mustafa Al.
Absolutely, absolutely. This next one should be a very fun game, I think, to watch, and it's going to be the Trailblazers versus the Sixers. I'm excited for this game. On both of you guys made faces, but go for it. What do you think?
So the Trailblazers, I think that they started the season off playing the right way, and I think everyone else caught up. They were playing team ball, moving around. It was always to the open man first, So they came out hot. I've seen the Sixers. We just played them, so I saw the difference of how they've changed as well from week one where Zen was just chucking up shots to now everybody on that team was scoring. I think they had 7 or 8 guys score on the team last week, so they've definitely gotten better. I think it depends on how ready ZJ is because he did just get back from a trip. He wasn't feeling so well. If he's healthy, I'm going to give it to the Sixers to pull off an upset. But if he's sluggish or anything like that, then I think the Blazers will get it. So ZJ healthy, I'm taking the Sixers.
Abbas, what do you got?
You're muted.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
You should be able to hear me now.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I think if ZJ is healthy, similar to Jan, I think it's going to be either way. If he's healthy or not healthy, I feel like it's going to be a close game. I feel like Blazers sometimes play down to the level of their competition, and that's kind of been their biggest flaw over the last couple of games. So yeah, I think if ZJ's not healthy, I give it to the Blazers. But if ZJ comes out swinging, I give it to the Sixers because ZJ has that. As much as it's not like I think overall Blazers are a better team, but I think ZJ has that mental edge of having two championships, having played through playoffs, having played through big games, and if he can step up, I think that just gives him a huge edge over the Blazers. So I am if I have to pick, I'm gonna go with Blazers, but it really just depends on ZJ if he comes out healthy or not.
Yeah, that's some excellent points. So it's 1-1 for each team. I'm gonna say that the Sixers, when they played the Blazers week 1, also, and they got torn. That was without Namazi, and that might be a huge factor if he's there, ZJ's there, Zulfi's there. I think the three of them have definitely gotten their chemistry a lot better as the season's progressed. And I think that the Blazers still, even regardless of that, I think they're a good enough team that they're capable of knocking out the Sixers. But I think the Sixers are going to be hungry. I think the Sixers are going to be like they don't want to have any game like that first game that they had in the beginning of the season. So I think the Sixers are going to step up. They're going to find a way to have like a solid game out of a dominant game out of ZJ, and then a solid game out of both Namazi and Zulfi. And I think they're gonna. I'm gonna think they're going to win in overtime.
Okay, so the first overtime playoff game. I like it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
All right.
with that, we'll go straight to the last game, which is the Spurs and the Clippers. Some might argue that that neither of these teams have what it takes to win the championship. So regardless of what happens this game, it's not going to matter. But what do you guys think about that?
So,
go for it.
I don't know who's saying Clippers don't have what it takes. I feel like Clippers have all the tools to win a championship. They have like one of the best starting fives on any team, really. And if you saw what I saw yesterday at Lifetime, any team that's facing them should be worried. The Clippers are locked in, and I feel like if the Spurs don't have a miracle game out of Abbas and Murtaza and the remaining squad, like we need Gayur to play like him plus Tax for the Spurs to have a shot. The Clippers are locked in. They're taking this game. Like, I hope it's not a blowout, but I feel like it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I don't know how the Spurs keep winning these games. They just keep winning. But I mean, I can't. I gotta go with the Clippers. I could break it down, but I just think the Clippers are really good.
Oh my god, it's so one-sided. All right, well, I will say the Clippers are a definitely a strong team, definitely a solid team that can put up a fight with any other team. But there's something about the Spurs. There's just something about him. There's no reason they should have any wins without Charuk. Like, there's just no reason. But I mean, other than maybe like the Magic and maybe the Bucks, and they didn't even beat the Bucks. So I think that it'll be close. Somehow, maybe like the chemistry won't fly together for the Clippers. Somehow the Bucks are the Spurs will keep themselves in it. And I think that just for the sake of being different as well, I think I'm going to go ahead and say that the Spurs are going to pull it out.
Interesting. You guys gave the Clippers a heartbreaking loss, right? So it has happened. And I'm not to say your squad wasn't ready, but it was like you had 5 players that week or 6 players that week.
Yeah,
so
we had 6 guys that week. Yeah.
So we've seen it happen. So I mean, if the Clippers are locked in, they're taking it. But there's always that slim chance with the Clippers. It just depends on which Clippers show up. If it's the locked-in Clippers, then there should be like a blowout, no questions asked.
Yeah. It is the NJSL. Anything can happen.
True.
Yeah, I mean, anyone could be anybody, But I don't know. I have a fun fact for you guys, right? I think there's been 3 players that haven't missed the finals so far. It's Zen Nukwi, ZJ, and Irfan.
Oh, okay.
That's true. And that's all 3 different teams this time around. So
Yeah. Well,
Anything can
what
happen.
team was Heather by on last year? Was he on Gonzaga?
Yeah, he's on Gonzaga. Oh
Was,
yeah,
yeah.
so he hasn't missed it either.
There you go. There you go. Just four players haven't missed it.
Wow. So it's like pretty much four out of the 18s
Yeah.
Yeah,
covered.
Well, three. Right.
three. Yeah,
Heather
Irfan
Byer,
and Heather
Irfan,
about the
Oh
same
yeah,
time.
yeah, true. My bad, my
But I don't know. Maybe that should scare you, boss.
bad. I'm
Let's
not
see
taking
what.
this game lightly. I'm not taking this game lightly at all.
I think it's fair to say that despite all of our predictions, anything can happen in the NJSL, and we might see all sorts of crazy upsets this upcoming week. But with that being said, let's round it out. We got 5 minutes left. Let's round it out and talk about who we think after now that the season's over is going to win the awards. Let's just one more time. We'll just run through real quick some of the awards that we talked about previously, see if anything's changed. We've not gotten your input yet, so I guess Abbas, you go first. I'll go second for the ones that we've done already, and you
Yeah.
give us your input as well. So real quick, MVP. Who do you think is going to take it? Or you can think about it, I guess.
Can you guys go first? I need a moment. I need a moment to think.
I don't mind going first. I'm
Go for
already
it, On.
mentally prepared for it. I don't think that this person's going to win MVP just because I think a lot of people have differing opinions than me. But my MVP is ZJ. Just looking at the impact he has on the court, it's to me he's the MVP. Statistically, offensively, he's great. But Hussein is right there. Like Hussein is just an animal. It's just, it's like he does everything, and it's just you can't really stop it. And if you look at the stats too, and then the wins, that's also important. That's one thing he has on ZJ is he's winning. Vessel's right there. I think Sada is right there as well. Those four guys, and then you could put Mo, Sid, and Salik up there as well. But I think it's ZJ, Hussein, and then there's a little bit of a gap between them and everybody else. That's my opinion.
All right.
Alright.
I think it's crazy. Abbas, you ready?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's crazy, but I think as we've talked about before, an MVP's got to be somebody who basically leads their team to victories. Initially, it's funny because 4 different guys messaged me directly, to talk about why they should be MVP, in the last 5 days. And the guy who I initially wasn't going to say was MVP, I actually am changing my mind, and I'm going to say that I think you got to give something to Hussein because his team was 0-2 when he wasn't there. They're 6-1 when he is there, and he's basically contributed to every victory that they've had.
I will say though, here's a fun fact: if you look at who they've been playing, though, they have I think 6 out of their 9 games. It's all been on teams that have been missing very key people.
Right. So that was basically my next thing I was gonna say is that even though a lot of times the teams that he's playing are shorthanded, I don't know. It's if you take that into account, would he still even if they weren't shorthanded, would he still put up good numbers? I think so. It's hard to say. But right up there, I still think Faisal is a top MVP candidate. I think ZJ could definitely be an MVP candidate. And then I think, the Raptors, it's so hard to judge because, everybody is so good on that team. But I think Salik and Mosid both have to be considered still, too. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
But pick one.
Yeah, I think Hussein would be my one if I pick.
So I threw out this crazy idea last week or 2 weeks ago about co-MVP. So I don't know if that happens or not. But outside of that, it's clear for me. Hussein would be my MVP. He is just balling out. He is honestly the Giannis of our league. There's very little you can do to stop him, and he is just so dominant, both inside scoring, rebounding, and defensively. Just his presence. You feel the impact. It's you see him in the paint, even though you're at the 3-point line, and you think twice about driving in.
I think he's averaging almost 4 blocks a game.
It's wild. It's wild. So yeah, that's it would be fairly easy. Obviously, there's ZJ's up there too, but I think my criteria is if you're not in the top 4 teams, you're kind of out of the MVP race for me.
That's fair.
Fair.
I respect that, and that's the argument. If the Sixers had 5 wins, 6 wins, I would be preaching it harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Faisal and ZJ basically missed the cut, with that logic. So,
Yeah.
okay. What about offensive player of the year? Does that change for you guys? Or on who do you think it is?
Man, Saad has one of the most beautiful games in the league. It's not like overpowering or it's not like constant. He's not running up and down the court and like forcing people, but he is the most efficient player on the court. So I think again it's between him and ZJ. Zen is like second in points per game, leads the league in assists. He's also probably the second most efficient player that's taking a large amount of shots. But the most efficient player again this season is Saad, and it's by a long shot. He's the only guy that's not like a big man, just putting up layups that's shooting above 50%. He only had one game shooting against under 50%, and that was against us, the Hornets. And we legitly tried our asses off to not let him get the ball and all that. Like we were literally like, let everyone else go crazy. We're gonna put our hearts and souls into not letting Saad beat us, not let him pass the ball well and all that. So that was one game. But every other game, he's been beautifully efficient, scoring well, passing well. But it's I would go with Saad and ZJ trailing right there.
Where's Faisal at in terms of scoring?
So he's third actually in the league in points, total points, and then third in points per game.
Okay. What's your take on his efficiency on?
So he does shoot a lot of threes, so that does bring down his field goal percentage. But I think he's shooting. Let's check it out. So he's shooting 29 points per game, but he is taking. I think he has the second most shots in the league. He's taken 170 shots overall. He's taken 21.25 shots. He's averaging 23.9 points a game. Is that what it is?
I selfishly only asked that question because I knew you had all these awesome stats ready to go. Yeah, so based on that, I mean, look, I think Saad is really, really a treat to watch. He is one of those guys that does this move, and it's very rare in basketball to have people do this. They are able to decelerate as they're going up for a layup. So think about how difficult that is. Like he's able to slow it down as he's able to go up for a layup, which totally throws off guys like me, Hussein, who are just trying to come in and block something. We're going full speed. He sees that, and somehow he just slows the game down and just plays this shifty Luka-like game to drop it in. So it's a lot of fun to watch. In terms of efficiency, I didn't realize he was that efficient.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, he is scoring on a team that is, in my opinion, one of the more loaded offensive threats. So to be able to do what he's doing and not just doing it one way, like he has a 3-point shot, but he's still scoring a lot of his buckets mid-range, near the bucket. So yeah, I would have to have Saad up there. I would have to have ZJ up there, Faisal as well. But if I had to pick one between the three based on efficiency, Saad.
All right, and then that's an excellent call. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give offensive player of the year. It's between Faisal and ZJ, honestly, for me, because I don't think either of them are gonna win MVP. But I think I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna give it to ZJ. I'm gonna give it to ZJ. He, I think his presence is, as like the team's primary scorer, and even I think he's also up there in assists too. And just when you watch him play, he just what's that?
He leads the league in assists.
Yeah, he's just he's right there with Salah, and so it's he's a top guy. I think if it doesn't win MVP because his team's not playing well, he is definitely at least a top offensive guy. You can always count on him to basically win you a game at any point. So I think he is key in that sense.
This there's one more candidate as we're talking. Where does he rank? I feel like he's not being talked about in this category. Because
He has the most points, that's for sure. He's probably number one in field goal shot in like percentage, right? Or like not percentage, like total shots taken.
No, total shots taken is Hussein by like a significant amount, and then I think it's yeah, I can tell you guys.
Yeah.
Um, but so let me just say why I wouldn't go with Ahmed Ali as offensive player of the year. I think he's had a good season for the way he's played, and the second half of the season statistically he's been worse, but they've played better because he's passed the ball really well. His defense has
yeah,
been amazing, amazing defense this year. But he is shooting lower than the league average, and I don't think you could be the offensive player of the year if you're shooting a
that's
worse
fair.
percentage than the rest of
That's
the league.
fair.
Yeah, a lot of his points do come from free throws also, so I think
Yeah.
that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All right, just to speed this up, as we're getting short on time here. Defensive player of the year. What are you guys thinking? On.
If Hussein doesn't win MVP, I would have Hussein up there.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a gap, I think the people that really have the next level up is one Raza Ahmed. Wild defense. I think he's just put it on display this season. Nabil Ahmed, statistically, it's not all there, but I think that I've seen him change the way that a lot of big men have played down low, and it's been able to show. And there's one more guy I'm just forgetting. Oh, I think Ahmed Ali's up there too, and you can make a case for him being defensive player of the year. He's getting like 5 steals a game. It's crazy. And I mean, when we played him, it was like every 2 plays he would just pickpocket somebody or just steal a pass just by being there. So yeah, those are the guys I would have. I would probably have Hussein number one and Raza Ahmed trailing right there, really close with Nabil.
So I think yeah, I would agree. I don't if Hussein doesn't get MVP, he would be defensive player of the year. Again, that's just how impactful he is on both ends of the court. I think a close second for me would be AA as well. Just
Yeah,
the
I think
steals alone. I know how difficult that is. So yeah, credit. Got to give him credit on those.
yeah. I remember calling out A basically in the beginning of the season after that first game against the Kings, and I was like, bro, like learn to play defense. And then he did. Like he brought it out and like became the steals leader, and like literally the next like he has double almost what the second place guy has in steals. So that's saying a lot, and I think that's definitely played a huge role in keeping the Bucks alive. So credit goes to A. I'm gonna give him defensive player of the year.
So six man of the year, the way I personally think about six man of the year is anybody that was drafted after the fourth round. So anybody from the fifth round and onward, meaning that you're expected to have been a bench player. We're not tracking who started or who didn't start and all that. Um,
I'm trying to think who even the guys are. There's like Gayur maybe, Bobby, uh,
Hassan Khan.
all right,
Hassan
six man
Khan.
of the year to me is yeah, it's HK by a good lead. Um, Rayhan is also up there. He was drafted late, and he has been coming off the bench for some games, and he's been averaging 7 points off the bench, which is well. Like he's not shooting an amazing field goal percentage. HK still has a solid lead over him, but it makes a difference. Mustafa Al-Casey, I just wrote him down, but he hasn't played enough games for me to genuinely get that award. Um, there's my brother Raza Merchant. I think they're missing a lot of stats, but I think the last few games he really was. I mean, I think he's just been getting all these easy layups and playing defense. Still wouldn't give him the number 1 or 2 spot there. It's still HK's, and then you can make a solid argument for Chavez. He's been shooting.
Shavo.
He's shooting 42%. He shoots just as good as I do, and he shoots better than the majority of the league. He's averaging 5 points. Literally, me and him, it's kind of sad that I have a 12-year-old on the team that has statistically doing more stuff than I am, and he's coming off the bench, you know. So that's who I have for six man. Most improved, I would go either Yafa or Sean again. I don't really have a big list. I haven't thought about it. But Yafa, I don't know about the stats, but if you watch him, he's added so much to the bag, and that's really hard to do. I don't know how old he is, but he's not like 15. Like when you're like an adult, it's really hard to add add to the bag. Like, you can't. Like, when I play basketball, this is the same moves I've been doing since I was like 20. So, like, like it's really hard to keep adding to your game. Rookie of the year, it's gonna go to Mosid. I don't think that anyone's gonna take it, but big shout out to Sajad. He's right there shooting an amazing field goal percentage. I think he's like third in the league in field goal percentage. I think he's leading the league in 3-point percentage. He's dropping 15 points, 8 rebounds. That's a great rookie of the year. Second place person. Ali Mirza is killing it. Abbas Uther killing it. Yeah. And then what was it? Coach, captain of the year. To me, it's either Abbas or Adil. So those two have really been engaged with their teams, and really you see the team camaraderie from those two guys, and you can see how they respect their captains as well. Am I missing another award?
I think those are all the main ones. But all right, yes, that's some excellent insight. I think that should just about wrap it up for tonight. It's going to be an excellent first round of the playoffs. I hope you guys are excited as I am. I hope you watching at home are even more excited, and it's going to be great. With that, thank you on so much for coming on tonight, and we'll hope to have you again soon. Boss, excellent work as always from your end, and that concludes today's episode of the NJSSL pregame show. Ladies and gentlemen, you have yourself a great night, and we'll see you on Sunday.